Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Lost Ark build video. I know that it's been a while since I've made one, but I've really been looking forward to Slayer, so now that she's here, I figured I should make a guide for her, for those of you who are interested. I'm going to be covering both class engravings, the Punisher and the Predator playstyle, so the Burst and the Swiftness class as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, then stick around, and feel free to ask me any questions in the comments or DM me on Discord. My DMs are always open, or you can just join and freely ask in any of the text channels of my server. But anyway, let's get started, and we're going to be going over the Punisher class engraving first, which is the Burst playstyle. What this class engraving actually does is increase your damage while you're inside of your identity by 25%. It also gives you 20% increased crit rate for your Bloodlust skill, which is the Blood Rush ability, but for Slayer. However, this class engraving also cuts your identity duration in half, and it also reduces your overall gauge generation by 25%. So you're very strong inside of your identity, however it is shorter and it is harder to get back into as a result. For your stats, you're going to mainly want Spec and Swiftness only coming from your necklace. As you'll see later, we're going to be building the entropy set, and you will be back attacking most of the time, or should be. So you might not think you have enough crit, but when you're inside of your identity, you are getting 30% crit chance, plus 20% from the entropy set, as well as 10% from landing back attacks. This is going to put you at 60% crit rate without any other synergies coming into play, so it is a comfortable place to be at. For your skills, you're going to want Brutal Impact with weak point detection, charge enhancement, and Furious Greatsword, Flash Blade with damage amp, focus, and counterstrike, Furious Claw with quick prep, burning hands, and driving hit, Ground Smash with focus, tenacity, and flame spin, Guillotine with quick prep, furious, and flame slash, Spinning Sword with quick prep, focus, and wind swift, Volcanic Eruption with leap, release fury, and bloody eruption, Wild Rush with excellent mobility and charge prep, Wild Stomp with focus or damage amp depending on your loadout, Swift Attack prep, and Earthquake Shock. Now you might be wondering why I've listed 9 skills, and that is because there are 2 different combinations that you can actually go. If you go with Wild Stomp and Flash Blade, then you can just put damage amp on Flash Blade and you can use the focus tripod on Wild Stomp. However, if you prefer Ground Smash paired with Wild Stomp, then you have to take the damage amp tripod on Wild Stomp, since that will be your only source of applying your synergy. So pick and choose whichever one you prefer. For your tripods, the most important ones are obviously going to be your meter generation tripods and your cooldown reduction tripods. So quick prep, focus on Furious Claw, Flash Blade, Spinning Sword, Wild Stomp, Guillotine. All of those are your most important ones, and after you get those, then you can focus on getting the DPS increased tripods. For your Awakening, Ragnabreak is going to be the one that does the most damage, so that is the one that I am going to recommend, and you should be using it inside of your burst window. For your gems, I'm going to recommend a CDR and damage gem for Guillotine, Volcanic, Brutal, and Furious Claw, a damage gem for Bloodlust, and a CDR gem for Wild Stomp. For your runes, you're going to want Wealth on Spinning Sword, Wild Stomp, Ground Smash, and Furious Claw, Galewind on Volcanic, Eruption, Brutal Impact, and Guillotine, Bleed on Flash Blade if you are running it, and Quick Recharge on Wild Rush. For your engravings at 4-3, I recommend running Punisher, Grudge, Curse-Doll, and Ambush Master. Then once you get up to 5-3, you can go Punisher, Grudge, Curse-Doll, Ambush Master, and Raid Captain. And then finally, when you have enough high-tier accessories where you can add an extra level of an engraving, then you can just add a level of Adrenaline to give you a little bit more crit rate and damage. For your gear set, once you start off, you're going to want the Preordained Argos set. This was the one that gives you crit rate, and then eventually build into the 6-piece entropy set once you get to Relic. For your cards, there are a couple of different caveats, but just as a general rule, if you have Light of Salvation 30 or Light of Salvation 18, you can run that. If you don't have that, you can run Deep Dive 30 or Deep Dive 18. If you don't have that, then you can run Lost Wind Cliff, and if you are a new player who doesn't really have any kind of cards at all, then you can run the Star of Destiny set, which pretty much every single player will have. Now let's move on to the Predator class engraving, which is the Swiftness class variant of Slayer. What this class engraving does is give you 40% crit damage while you're inside of your identity meter, but it also disables the use of the skill Bloodlust. Now when you land attacks while you're inside of your identity, it actually regenerates some of the meter, but it gives you a debuff that causes the meter to drain quicker. So if you are constantly landing attacks, you can actually extend the duration of your identity for a significant amount of time, but it will not be infinite. The stacks will eventually cause your meter to expire, and realistically, actual actual practical situations, you'll have to bob and weave, there will be mechanics, you will have to dodge attacks, you can't constantly be hitting the enemy, so you will run out eventually. However, based on how many attacks you landed, aka how many debuff stacks you had while you were inside of your identity meter, you will have a reduction to the exhaustion that happens when your identity ends, after which your meter will instantly regenerate. So this is trying to keep you inside of your identity skill for as long as possible. For your stats, you're mainly going to want swiftness, and then crit only coming from your necklace. For your skills, you're going to want brutal impact with weak point detection, summary execution, and furious greatsword, fatal sword with rage, weak point, and lights out, final blow with quick prep, weak point, and driving hit, furious claw with quick prep, rage, and driving hit as well, guillotine with quick prep, furious, and flame slash, punishing draw with stable stance, weak point enhancement, and chain attack, volcanic eruption with leap, release fury, and bloody eruption, wild rush with burning rage and charge prep, and wild stomp with damage amp, swift attack prep, and earthquake shot. Now you might be wondering again, why am I showing 9 different skills? And that is because you can actually choose if you want to use fatal sword or if you want to use final blow. The decision is up to you, just use whichever skill you prefer. For your tripods, you mainly just want to get all the DPS tripods. There's really no secret sauce here. Most of them that increase the damage for your main skills, those being guillotine, furious claw, fatal sword, volcanic eruption. You just want to prioritize getting all of those DPS increasing tripods. Now for your awakening, you actually have 2 options. You can use your first awakening because it instantly fills up your meter. So if you're going into a fight trying to learn it and you don't want to pop stimulants, you can just use this instead and instantly fill up your meter to get into the cycle of having infinite identity gauge. However, if you do need more damage or you don't really feel like it is necessary for you to use your awakening to fill up the meter initially, you can just use Ragnarbrake. Now for your runes, you're going to want Conviction on Furious Claw and Judgment on Wild Rush. However, these 2 are interchangeable depending on your personal preference and playstyle. You're going to also want Bleed on Wild Stomp, Gale Wind on Volcanic Eruption and Brutal Impact, Focus on Guillotine, Overwhelm on Punishing Draw, and then Quick Recharge on Fatal Sword. For your gems, you're going to want a Damage and CDR gem for Guillotine, Volcanic Eruption, Brutal Impact, Punishing Draw, and Fatal Sword, and a Damage gem for Furious Claw. For your engravings at 4-3, I'm going to recommend Predator, Grudge, Raid Captain, and Ambush Master. And then once you can add on your 5th engraving, I recommend Mass Increase. This is a very good engraving to have because it basically has no downgrades or downsides since you are stacking so much swiftness. And finally, when you are able to add an extra level of another engraving, then you feel free to put on Adrenaline 1. For your gear sets, I'm going to recommend once again the Preordained Argos set, and once you get to Relic, you're also going to want 6-piece Entropy. Cards, same thing. If you don't have anything, you can use the Star of Destiny set, but ideally you're going to want to aim for LOS 30, Deep Dive 30, or Lost Wind Cliff. Now the final build that I have for you guys here, this is for Chaos Dungeons. So for Chaos Dungeons, I highly recommend just using the Predator engraving. Even if you have a Punisher build or setup and accessories, it doesn't really matter. You just can equip the engravings and just run this, since it'll make it a lot faster and a lot easier. It's kind of like running Remaining Energy on Deathblade, even if you main Surge. But for your skills, you're going to want Brutal Impact with Weak Point Detection, Summary Execution, and Earth Smite, Final Blow with Quick Prep, Weak Point, and Storm Slash, Guillotine with Quick Prep, Furious, and Transform Strike, Hurricane Sword with Sustain Enhancement, Cracked Blade, and Tornado, Spinning Sword with Swift Fingers, Enhanced Strike, and Wind Swift, Volcanic Eruption with Leap, Release Fury, and Bloody Eruption, Wild Rush with Burning Rage and Charge Prep, and Wild Stomp with Damage Amp, Released Fury, and Earth Impact. Well guys, those are my guides and builds for Slayer in Lost Ark. Let me know what you guys think of the builds. If you have any suggestions, or if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments so that other people can see it too. Or if you have any questions or need help with anything Lost Ark related, like I said, link to my Discord is in the description of every single one of my videos. Join the chat, there's a bunch of people that are willing to help, or you can just ask me personally. And let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more Lost Ark videos, or what other videos you guys would like to see. I would appreciate a sub, that is always nice. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later. Take care.